and go out to the families of the Buffalo police officers and the Buffalo police officers themselves for this horrific incident. And as has been stated numerous times, it literally is a miracle that someone was not injured or hurt here or killed here in regard to this incident. And I say that in the context of, obviously, 4 people were hurt. 3 police officers were shot, and the defendant, 28-year-old Kente Bell, Kente, was also shot numerous times as well. So I recognize that there were 4 individuals that were hurt, but this could have been much, much worse. It could have been much worse from the standpoint of individuals being hit by gunfire. It also could have been much worse from individuals being struck by a motor vehicle or involved in a motor vehicle accident here in this chase. So, as you all know, the Buffalo Police Department yesterday filed charges against Mr. Bell. They charged him with 3 counts of attempted murder in the first degree and 1 count of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree. Mr. Bell was arraigned on those charges this afternoon at ECMC. Yesterday, when the charges were filed, Mr. Bell was not in a position to be arraigned. He was also not in a position to be arraigned this morning. He was sedated, unconscious, after coming out of surgery. And when I got a phone call today at about 11:30 or so, I was told that he woke up, he came out of sedation, and I asked if he was okay to be arraigned, even though he's awake. They say yes. He asked to turn the TV on. So if he wants to watch TV, he can be arraigned. So the arraignment was held this afternoon, and he was arraigned on all 4 of those charges. He was remanded, held without bail, and the felony hearing will be scheduled for Monday at 9:30 a.m. In addition to today's legal proceedings, and again, that all took place at ECMC, Judge Peter Savage drove to ECMC. My Assistant District Attorney, Steve Earnhardt, drove to ECMC along with Mr. Bell's attorney, and the arraignment was literally conducted at ECMC. Now, whether or not the felony hearing is going to take place at ECMC on Monday is still up in the air. If Mr. Bell is released from the hospital and is sent to the holding center, then the proceeding will take place here in Buffalo City Court on Monday. If he's not, we have a makeshift courtroom that is set up at ECMC, and we'll do it there. And so we'll kind of play that by ear and see what happens between now and Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. What's going to happen tomorrow morning, though, is that County Court Judge Case is going to drive out to ECMC tomorrow morning, along with my attorney and along with the defense attorney, and they are going to arraign him on the violation of probation. As has been reported, Mr. Bell is currently on probation right now. Now, the police commissioner has a little bit more, or not a little bit, a lot more, quite frankly, leeway to talk about Mr. Bell's prior history than I do. I obviously am under my ethical rules as a prosecutor, and I am under my ethical rules as to what I can say about a defendant's prior crimes without prejudicing him and without tainting a potential jury pool that may arise in the future. So pretrial publicity when it comes to a defendant's prior charges are a sticky subject, and I don't want to get in trouble. Quite frankly, I don't want to have anyone accuse me of being unethical and talking out of turn about any pretrial publicity. With that said, I understand that every one of you probably and the public has a burning question, like, what do you mean he's out on probation? What do you mean he had a prior quote unquote charge? Why is he out? Why is he on the street then if he had a prior charge? Valid questions, and I'm kind of caught in a rock and a hard place where I don't want to make it look like I'm hiding anything or trying to cover my own butt at all or a judge's butt. So that's one part, and then the other part is I can't ethically get into too much pretrial publicity here. So I'm like I said, I'm kind of caught in the middle here. So with that said, I will try to walk the fine line here without getting in trouble. Just so you know, Mr. Bell's prior charges are public records. So you all have the ability to go to the courthouse and ask for those public records. If you have questions, I encourage you to do that. That will answer a lot of your questions right there. I can tell you, it's public record, he is on probation. So I can confirm that. I can tell you that the sentence of probation is nothing out of the ordinary. Matter of fact, it's typical of the circumstances that he was facing back in 2020. I'm not specifically talking about Mr. Bell, but I can tell you with any other defendant who is charged with the charge that he was arrested on, it is routine that an individual who has no prior record, so I can confirm that in 2020 he had no prior record, that an individual with no prior record who had the charge that he had and nothing else, he didn't use a weapon, he didn't display a weapon, he did nothing at all in that regard. It is with no priors, no underlining or extenuating real circumstances. He was cooperative with the police and didn't cause a scene at that arrest at that time. He, for an individual, again in general, for an individual who has employment and is working at the time, having a job and participating in society shows one to be a contributing member of society. In addition, if an individual, just a random individual, had a disability, was partially paralyzed, that is a sympathetic factor to a certain extent. The circumstances surrounding that clearly warranted, and everyone in those circumstances would have gotten a one-step reduction like he got. He still pleaded to a felony. He still pleaded to a violent felony, which again is public record, which you can get. And the probation department, for his sentencing, recommended probation. So there was, after anyone pleads guilty, between the guilty plea and the sentencing date, which is usually 30 to 60 days, there is a pre-sentence investigation that's done. And the pre-sentence investigation is a thorough investigation of the defendant, who he is, what he's doing in life, what the circumstances were, et cetera, et cetera. And in that pre-sentence investigation, again, in general, and all of them, all right, the individual doing the pre-sentence investigation, which is the probation department, will make a recommendation. Jail, probation, a split, mixture of both. And in this case, probation was recommended. So it is not out of line for the judge to sentence probation in the circumstances that would be similar to Mr. Bell. So I don't think I got this part right there. I think I'm okay. I think I walked that line all right. So that is going to happen tomorrow morning. So when anyone is on probation, if they commit another crime while they're on probation, that is a violation of probation. You're on probation, you commit another crime, that is a separate charge in and of itself. And so how it works logistically, the probation department files that violation of probation. There's a detainer put on the defendant, and then a judge comes at a later date and arraigns him on that violation of probation. So Judge Case will arraign him tomorrow morning on the violation of probation. We will ask for remand on that as well. So if all goes well tomorrow morning, he will be remanded without bail on the probation violation and on these charges right here, on both, separately. And then we will go forward on April 4th. Okay, so logistically, that's what's going to happen with regard to the court proceedings. All right, so now that I've talked about his history and the court proceedings, I can give you a little bit more detail here into how this all went down. This is all obviously on Tuesday, which would have been what day, Maki? What was Tuesday?
The 29th.
29th, okay. At 5:58 p.m. At the foot of Ferry here on Niagara Street, all right? The defendant was with a friend of his who happened to be a female. And they were just kind of hanging out right here at the foot of East Ferry. Two female Buffalo police officers approached the vehicle because the vehicle had tinted windows. When they approached the vehicle there, the defendant cooperated with his license, sitting in the car, and it was learned that there was an issue with the registration. And when they asked him to step out of the car, he said that he could not. And the reason why he cannot is because he apparently walks with two walkers because he's partially paralyzed from being shot back in 2012. So he never got out of the vehicle the entire time this happened, just so you know. The entire time, the entire route, the entire chase, the ending point there on East Ferry there by Fillmore, he never got out of the car because he couldn't. So when they started to question him about his registration, that's when he took off. Put his foot on the pedal and took off. and went up north on Niagara Street here, went to Tonawanda Street, Military, down Austin, and then came back down Niagara Street here, and then got on the 198 right there. The passenger in his vehicle, his female friend, was in the front passenger seat when he first took off right here. And she was in the vehicle the entire time up here until they got up to Military, and right around Austin Street here by Military, when he was either making the turn here and started to slow down, or had slowed down at some point, she opened the front passenger door and jumped out of the car while it was moving, and ended up like rolling on the ground and hit up against a pole of some kind, like right out of a movie. So she was obviously freaking out, probably to say the least, and wanted to have nothing to do with this, and literally jumped out of the car while it was moving. So now he's in the car by himself, and he now proceeds on the route there. Okay.
Had shots been fired at this
Not
point?
yet.
Okay.
So no shots were fired while she was in the car.
Okay.
All right. So she had no role in him shooting anyone. She had no role in him putting his foot on the pedal to go. She had no role at all. Okay. The first shot was fired on Austin Street here. So so she jumped out here. I'm sorry. She jumped out here on Military before the turn on Austin. Okay. So she jumped out right about here on Military. The first shot was fired right here on Austin. Right by Austin, Tonawanda. He fired the first shot. It's crystal clear. He fired the first shot. Officers did not fire upon him at all while they were chasing him down here on Tonawanda on Military and Austin. Okay, he fired the first shot. Okay, and then they try to set a roadblock up when he came down Austin and turned south, made a left-hand turn south on Niagara Street here before the 198. They try to set a roadblock up there, and he blew through the roadblock.
Like what kind of roadblock?
Well, with cars.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, at this point, I don't know if he hit any cars or if the police cars said, oh, he ain't stopping, I'm going to back up. All right, so I don't know. I don't know. Right now I don't know that. But they try to set a roadblock of some kind here, and he blew through it, and then got in the 198. Okay.
Where was the roadblock? I'm sorry.
Roadblock on Niagara Street here,
okay.
Before the 198.
Okay.
Yeah. Come back south on Niagara. All right. And then he gets on the 198 and proceeds. Again, his first shot fired was right here in Austin before the roadblock. And he did not hit anyone with that first shot. Now, it seems like there were no shots fired at all on the 198 and 33. So while he's on the thruway doing God how knows how fast, all right, on the 198 and 33, at this point, I am not aware of any shots fired by him while he's going fast. All right.
What about police?
I don't know. I don't know at this time. But I don't think so. When he got off the 33 on Bailey Avenue here and went south on Bailey Avenue, that's when he started firing back up again, and that's when he hit the first officer. He hit the first officer near Bailey and Langfeld. He's shooting while he's in the car driving the whole time. And he struck an officer while the officer was in the car. This was the officer that he struck, Officer Sheehan, who got hit from the bicep, upper arm, and then grazed the ear. just for your knowledge, I mean, you know, at 5:58 was the first encounter at the foot of East Ferry there. When he gets onto Bailey and Length, when he gets off of Bailey here, it's around 6:05. So at about 6:07 is when the first officer got hit. Now, 2 minutes later at 6:09, this is where the confusion got into play on Tuesday night. It came out over the radio that the suspect was firing shots along with someone in the back seat, a passenger, firing shots as well. That came out, and you probably heard that, you know, when you're listening to the radio. All right. So it came out that there was a second person now in the car who was firing shots, and that's where the confusion kind of came out. That is not true. That was an error. There was no one in the back seat of the car. There was no one else firing shots but him. He was alone in the car the entire time after his girlfriend, or friend who was a girl, jumped out of the car.
Was he shooting out the driver's window or the back window?
He's driving, driver's
So
window.
he's shooting to his left?
Yes.
Is that, we're hearing that he has some sort of specialized vehicle modified for his handicap.
Yeah, I don't know that.
You know that?
Yeah.
So that, we didn't know if that was because that made it easier for him to be able
Maybe.
to have a free hand?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't heard that, but I'm going to find out. Obviously, I'll find all that out. I got it here. I got between now and I put this in the grand jury to do like a full-scale investigation here, which I'll talk about at the end. So the second officer, so you know he goes down here, which is now Bailey. He turns on Genesee. Turns on Walden. He goes into Cheektowaga here.
He did go into?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went into Cheektowaga here, near the Pine Ridge area there, and then came back down Genesee. And then when he's coming back down Genesee, when he gets down to Genesee and Dote here, all right, that's when the second officer was struck in his vest.
Dope in Genesee?
Yes, Genesee and Dope. Okay, this is about 6:12 p.m. now. And then he continues down Genesee, turns down Fillmore here, then turns down Williams, then William to Jefferson, and back up Jefferson to Ferry, and then ends up here on East Ferry and Fillmore.
Do you know how fast he was going?
No, I don't know that, but I can presume fast. And then at the end there is when the majority of gunshots were fired, which you all heard on that video that person took at the gas station. That was when the majority of shots were fired while his vehicle was stationary there by that gas station at the end of the pursuit right there. The end of the pursuit being at about 6:20 p.m. So you're talking about 20 minutes for the entire time here. That's when Officer McCarthy was hit, and the one who had the most serious injury.
And do you
hit
believe
beyond that.
Bell was firing shots?
Yes.
before?
Yes.
We have some folks asking about friendly fire. Was that anything that is being looked into?
Yes. Yeah.
Anything more you can add to that?
No, I mean, I have no indication that anyone was hit by friendly fire, but I'm certainly going to look into it because there was obviously, throughout the course of this whole thing, numerous gunshots fired by officers and numerous gunshots fired by the defendant. He had an extended magazine that was on his gun, which I don't have exact numbers for you, but lots and lots of bullets can be put in that extended magazine. So he had the ability to shoot lots and lots of bullets with the extended magazine. So so there are a lot of things I don't know at this time. I don't know how many shots were fired by officers. I don't know how many officers fired their shots. I don't know how many shots he fired. I know that there were 9 police vehicles that were damaged to a certain extent. I know the location of where the 3 officers were hit. I know the route he took, obviously, but there are a lot of unanswered questions here. And so what's going to happen, obviously, is between now and when I present this case to a grand jury, I will be able to hopefully get answers to my questions. Be prepared, though, that I may not get answers. I mean, it may be just too difficult to get answers to those questions. I may at the end of the day, have no idea how many shots that he fired. His extended magazine, his gun was damaged by gunfire, so his gun was hit. So it's broken, it's damaged. So I'm not going to be able. So I may not be able to tell how many rounds he fired. I mean, you literally have to have someone go back on the trail here and look around for gun casings, okay? And between now and then, I mean, some kid may walk by and pick it up. I mean, there's probably no way. All right. Obviously, each officer has their own weapon, and each officer, I assume that each officer will be able to tell from their weapon how many shots they fired. That whole area right there is governed by Buffalo Police Department rules and PBA rules, and so I'll do the best I can. I will at some point I'll have to clear the officers, or not clear them. I'll have to make a determination on officer conduct here. He was shot. I don't have the exact number of times he was shot, but the information that I have at this time was he was shot in the upper bicep shoulder area. He was shot in the neck area. Now, again, that may be the same bullet that hit him, that came up through the shoulder and hit him in the neck area, but he was definitely shot in the neck. And that was the most serious shot he took, which required the surgery and the reason why he was under sedation and unconscious yesterday and today. He was also shot in the leg, and he was shot again in the finger, which is probably the same shot that hit his gun. So that I know at this time. And so, but obviously, almost 48 hours has gone by here, and I've done a lot of work in 48 hours, and I am probably 50% there in clearing the officers right now. And I mean, it appears that everything was done properly here, and they were all valid shots, fired by the officers when he shoot at them. So, but being 50% there is not good enough. I need to get 100% there, and so I will proceed, obviously, with my investigation. And at the end of the day, there were more than 3 officers who were fired upon here. Only 3 got shot. And so I have potentially more attempted murder charges. Potentially. So now, again, it becomes a moot point as far as sentencing is concerned, because I can only stack on top of one another 2 people and get 50 years to life. It's 25 years to life for each count of attempted murder, but on a consecutive sentence, I can't stack up 3 to make it 75 to life. I can only stack up 2. So if I can show that he fired at 20 more officers, what's the point of charging 20 counts of attempted murder? I'm not being facetious here. I'm not minimizing that, obviously, because shooting at 20 police officers is serious. So don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing that or being flippant about it. But at some point I can only get 50 to life anyway, and so I'll have to determine, strategically what I do when I put in the grand jury. So that's what will happen next. Again, we'll have a felony hearing on Monday. That may or may not go. And then after that, my grand jury investigation, and then putting a case in the grand jury. And then the next time you'll see me will be when I arraign him on the indictment in the grand jury, if the grand jury votes to indict. Obviously, he's innocent right now until proven guilty. Obviously, the grand jury, he walks in the grand jury innocent, and the grand jury will have to do their job. And again, if that job is completed to an indictment, then I'll talk to you on the arraignment of the indictment. Questions?
Let's go back to the probation. Are you able to elaborate at all on who recommended he get probation?
The pre-sentencing investigation.
The pre-one.
Yeah.
No, the first time.
The first, there's only one time.
Yeah.
So the pre-sentencing report is done by the probation department. So they recommend probation.
And it was up to the judge to decide if you got probation
Yes,
or not.
yes.
Were there any prior probation violations besides this most recent?
No, nothing I'm aware of. Well, let me say, there were none filed.
How does someone who cooperated with police back in 2020, like you said, now become someone who shoots 3 officers
I don't
in
know.
a high-speed chase? I mean, is mental health involved,
I
drugs,
don't-
alcohol?
Yeah, I have no indication at this time of any of that. Obviously, he was not in the right mental frame of mind. That's obvious. No one in the right proper mental frame of mind does that. How you make the leap from 2020 to 2022 is a question for someone with a medical degree, and I don't have one. I have no idea how you make that leap. But suffice to say, again, allegedly, he made a huge leap. Huge.
Did he say anything throughout this? Is there anything on the
Yeah,
body cam?
yeah,
Additional officers?
Yeah, I can't tell you that. I can't. Obviously, any comments that he may or may not have made, are memorialized in what they call a 71030 form, and that 71030 form becomes part of the evidence at trial, and so I can't comment on that, Maki.
What was the registration issue? Because it seemed like he was cooperative when he was pulled over.
Yes.
What was the registration issue?
I don't know. I just know it was a registration issue. It was either lapsed or something.
Do you have any updates on the third officer who's still in the hospital? How's he doing?
Good. Yeah. I have no updates as far as when he's getting out of the hospital, but he's doing well.
Obviously this is something you said you're still working on, but how do you determine whether police were correctly following the pursuit policy of the department in a situation like this? I mean, did they have reason to believe that letting Bell go would have been more dangerous than, what a chase would cause?
Well, that's more a BPD administrative question than mine. There's no penal law charges for not following the pursuit regulations. So I'm not really looking into that. obviously it's part of the bigger picture, the whole picture. Okay, so I mean, it'll come across my lawyer's eyes and desks, obviously, but the determination that I look at in these police shooting cases is the shooting. That, did the officer, because he was obviously shot by a Buffalo police officer. Okay, so did the shooting of this individual, was that justified? So that is the legal question that I look into. Whether or not they follow the BPD regulations on pursuit policy, that's not a charge I can file. That's an administrative regulation that they have, but from all indications, I will say though, to be fair here though, by all indications, they follow the policy. There was nothing. Once he started shooting, it's game on. Unless there's like exigent, warranted circumstances, that all right, we better back off here now because this is getting crazy. So
He fired the first shot pretty early on.
He did.
Into the chase. Okay.
yeah, he fired pretty early on. He fired it before he got into 198.
Was it a single shot? Do you
I don't know. I don't know.
Are there any officers on administrative leave right now during the investigation?
Not that I'm aware of. But that's a question for BPD, but not that I'm aware of. Yeah, no.
I know you don't know yet, but do you have an estimate on how many shots were fired by him and the officers?
Like numerous with a capital N.
Yeah.
Yeah, numerous, but
And
yeah.
do you think he was shot at the end? That's when he was finally shot.
I don't know that, Maki.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that. I suspect that. But I don't know definitively.
Yeah. And was he wearing any kind of armor or a
No,
vest?
no,
Or, 'cause,
no.
I mean, by all the gunfire you hear, it seems like he'd be shot.
It's like I said, this is literally out of a movie. I mean, you have a high-speed chase. You may or may not have some handicap equipment, okay? But even if you did have some handicap equipment, you got a guy firing out the driver's side window here. You got blockades. You got speed on highways. You got girl jumping out of the car. You got, coming to a stop at, in front of a gas station, and then, shot. I mean, it's like literally out of a movie.
And they had a blockade at Ferry and Fillmore at the end there, right? I mean, we've seen like
So
each
yes,
one.
yes, yeah. But how exactly he stopped? Okay, that I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know exactly how it went down though.
Did they try to lead him to that C district precinct on purpose? Because I found it to be interesting that the precinct was right there.
Yeah, no, not that I'm aware of. No. What's also ironic, okay, is the one officer who got hit here on Bailey and Langfeld, that just happened to be near the E district precinct.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's just coincidence.
So did he sustain? I mean, you say you're not 100% sure, but it sounds like it ended with some sort of a crash. Did he sustain any injuries from that as well, or was it from the shooting?
That I'm aware of. No, I'm not aware of any other. I mean, it's in here. He's obviously I think he was banged up and bruised, but I mean, I don't know if that was just from him flailing himself around the car, or if if he hit something at the end. Yeah, I don't know.
And then just a quick follow-up
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the first question, as far as mental health, drugs, alcohol, is that something that's being looked at though, and would it even matter?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, let me say, it wouldn't matter on drugs or alcohol, but the mental health aspect will matter. Yes. I mean, we didn't ask for a forensic today. The defense attorney did not ask for a forensic today. So at this point, I have no indication that mental health is going to be an issue here. But if the defense lawyer at a future date asks for a forensic, then we'll cross that bridge then.
How do you go about investigating friendly fire? I mean, this seems like very complicated. We all saw that video.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. That's what I said. I mean, I may hear at the end of the day, a few months from now or whatever, maybe, month, who knows how fast I put in the grand jury. I may be telling you, I don't know to a lot of your questions. So I'll forewarn you that right now. And again, I think everyone knows me. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to cover up for anyone at all. But it just may be, and I don't know, because it's so.
Would that charge go away then?
Which one?
Because you're doing 3 counts of first degree.
Well,
It doesn't matter.
Well, no, it doesn't matter, because if I can show that he was shooting in the vicinity of an officer who got shot at him, and it turns out that he didn't get shot by him, but got shot by friendly fire, it's still attempted murder.
Can you confirm that the gun he was using was illegal and also?
Yes, it's illegal. Yeah, he was charged with a weapons charge. Yes.
So what, in your opinion, what concerns does this raise about illegal guns just in our city?
Oh God, obviously there are just way too many people who have illegal guns. There are way too many people who use illegal guns. But let's put this in perspective to a certain extent. Okay, we've never had a situation like this. We've never had a situation where someone uses an illegal gun in this manner and under these circumstances. This is truly an exceptional circumstance and an extremely rare occurrence, not just in the city of Buffalo, but nationwide. You don't see this even going across the country. So while it's concerning, obviously, and it's it tends to add to the argument of, we need to rein in illegal weapons and people who use illegal weapons. You got to put in perspective that this is an extremely rare incident.
And it was just one gun.
Yes.
Is
And it was found on him too, like literally in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
So when after all was said and done, the shots were fired, and the officers approached the vehicle after he had been shot and rendered unable to continue. They literally found the gun on him.
Anything else illegal in his car?
Not that I know of. No. Yeah,
Is
I
an
know.
illegal firearm the main concern here? Because we have seen an uptick in violence. We have
Oh,
seen
no.
several gun issues this year alone.
Yeah, no, my main concern is he shot a police officer. So that's my main concern. Yeah, no, the illegal weapon's secondary. My main concern is that he led police officers on a high-speed chase throughout the city of Buffalo and in Cheektowaga, and in the entire time, to be fair, maybe except for on the throughways, highways, he was firing at officers. That's my main concern.
So to be clear, is the maximum sentence he can get then
50 to life.
Okay.
Is there a chance that he can bail out after his arraignment?
Oh, yeah. A judge can do whatever he wants. Yeah, sure. A judge can, at any time in any proceedings, a defense attorney can make a motion to the judge requesting a bail hearing at any time. For any one of my thousands of defendants that I got in the building right now, any defense attorney at any time can file a motion with the court. Judge, I want to schedule a hearing for a bail application and re-argue bail. So yeah,
I'm
sure.
sure a lot of us have
But
requested-
not going to happen though. I'll fight it tooth and nail. So, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of us have requested body cam footage from this. Have you had any chance to view any of that? And if you have, can you give us a sense of what that footage is like?
Yeah, no, I have not. My attorneys are in the process of gathering all that. That's going to take a while. You're talking about downloading perhaps 20 plus officers and their body cam footage. So that's going to take a while, both from an IT standpoint to logistically download that and then organize it and then look at it. Yeah, that'll take a bit.
Only 20?
Well, I'm 20 plus.
Yeah,
It could be more. It could be
Yeah.
more. Yeah, no, yeah, it could be, yeah, way more. Yeah.
If you already said this, what is the difference between the red and the green lines on the map?
Those are the highways. So that's the 33 there, and that's just the 190.
But that's still where the path.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
path is all red. Path is all red, yeah. The darker areas are just the map areas of the highways.
Okay, not
Yeah,
the
yeah. Dark areas have nothing to do with the route at all. The route is all red.
Gotcha.
Were
Yeah.
Chief Tawaga police ever involved in this?
I don't know, good question, I don't know. I don't know if they came in and assisted all or not.
Is he being, is it a public defender or does he have a private attorney?
He's got Jessica Culpet. I don't know whether he paid her or not. I mean, I don't know that, but I mean, she's a private attorney.
Did he say anything today at the arraignment?
Not that I'm aware of, but if he did, I couldn't tell you anyway. So he said not guilty. Yeah. Or his lawyer did.
9 cars had, or police vehicles had bullet damage.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how many police vehicles were just involved in the chase and
No. No, I
Did
don't.
you ever, at any point, try to use spike strips to slow him down? Or?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if they did or not. Yeah.
At the end, though, it seemed like there was indication he was going kind of slowly, the car was smoking,
That was because of the gunshot.
Oh, okay.
So one of the gunshots must have hit his engine or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I mean, it was like smoking.
I'm giving an educated guess here, but yeah, I mean, I'm an educated guy, right?
And he blew out a tire at
Yeah.
that point.
Wait, the tire was blown out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. A tire was blown out, but that would make it smoke though. Too bad. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Well,
could be. I guess it could be. Yeah. I guess if you're grinding on the yeah, I guess it could. Yeah. But I think that I think that a bullet must have hit inside in the engine area there, or you know with that fluid stuff there. I'm not a car guy. You know, hit that stuff. Fluid, you know, the fluid stuff. Yeah. All good? All right. Thank you. All right.
If any, I mean, you've all heard more than that. So, take it if you want it.